High Commander Reed stood at the massive window of the Imperial Palace, his tall frame reflected in the polished crystal that separated him from the golden spires of capital world Aurea. The three suns cast long shadows across the city, making the buildings shine like precious metals in the evening light. "Sir, we have an urgent report from the outer sectors." An aide rushed into the room, his boots clicking against the marble floor. The young officer's face was pale, his hand shaking as he held out a datapad. Reed turned slowly, his silver uniform catching the light. He had served the Empire for 40 years, and very few things were truly urgent anymore. The galaxy had known peace for centuries under Imperial rule. "What is it this time? Another pirate raid?" Reed asked, his voice carrying the weight of boredom. "No, sir. Our long-range scanners have detected a fleet, a massive fleet, emerging from the uncharted regions. Initial readings suggest it's from Earth." Reed's expression darkened. Earth, the backwater planet that had refused Imperial membership just 6 months ago. "Show me," he commanded. The aide activated the room's holographic display. A three-dimensional map of the galaxy appeared, and within it, a massive cluster of red dots moved steadily through space. Reed's eyes widened as he processed the numbers. "This can't be right," he muttered. "These readings suggest over 10,000 ships. Earth barely has space travel. Their ships use primitive combustion engines." At that moment, Admiral Marcus entered the room. He was older than Reed, his face lined with experience, his eyes sharp with intelligence. "The readings are correct, sir. I've verified them myself." "Marcus, you've studied Earth's history, haven't you?" Reed asked, not taking his eyes off the hologram. "Yes, sir. That's why I'm here." Marcus stepped closer to the display. "We've made a terrible mistake. Earth's primitive appearance was a deception, a carefully crafted mask." Reed scoffed. "Impossible. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs. We've seen their ships, their cities. Sir, with all due respect, we've seen what they wanted us to see." Marcus pulled up additional data on the display. "Look at these energy readings. Their fleet's power signatures are fluctuating in patterns that suggest advanced cloaking technology. The primitive readings we detected earlier were fake." The doors slid open again as members of the Galactic Council filed in. Council member Blake, always quick to dismiss concerns, spoke first. "Surely this is some sort of malfunction. Earth is a primitive world, barely worth our attention." Marcus turned to address the council. "You're wrong. I studied Earth's history. Do you know what makes humans different from every other species we've encountered? War. Their entire history is filled with conflict. While we advanced through cooperation, they advanced through competition. While we built an empire on diplomacy, they prepared for war." "But we've seen no evidence of military technology," Blake argued. "Because they hid it." Marcus's voice echoed through the chamber. Every peaceful gesture, every show of primitive technology, was part of their strategy. They watched us, studied us, learned our weaknesses. And now, he gestured to the hologram, where the fleet of red dots continued its steady advance. High Commander Reed watched the display, a cold feeling settling in his stomach. How long until they reach our outer colonies? "At their current speed, 3 days," the aide reported. "Send a message to all outer worlds. Full military alert. And summon the Imperial fleet." Reed turned to the council members. "Whether you believe Admiral Marcus or not, we can't ignore a fleet of this size." As the council members hurried out to spread the word, Marcus stayed behind. He watched the holographic ships with a grim expression. "They won't be enough," he said quietly. "Our entire fleet won't be enough." "Why?" Reed asked. "Because while we've spent centuries playing at war, they've spent centuries preparing for it. And now, they're ready to show us exactly what humanity is capable of." The three sons of Aurea continued their eternal dance across the sky, unaware that the golden age of the Empire was about to end. 6 months earlier, The Imperial diplomatic vessel Golden Dawn dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Earth's moon. It was a beautiful ship, its golden hull reflecting the distant sunlight. Captain Jones of Earth's Space Command watched it approach from the observation deck of Lunar Base 1. "They're right on schedule," his assistant noted, checking the time. Jones nodded slowly. "Yes, and right where we expected them." He turned to face the dozen screens behind him, each showing different parts of Earth's solar system. On every screen, hidden sensors tracked the Imperial ship's movement. The Empire thought they were making first contact. They didn't know humans had been watching them for decades. The Imperial ship sent its first transmission. "Greetings, people of Earth. We come as representatives of the Galactic Empire, bringing the gift of civilization to your world." Jones pressed a button, activating Earth's carefully prepared response. The humans had to appear properly impressed, properly primitive. It was all part of the plan. Inside the Imperial ship, Ambassador White smiled as he watched the humans scramble to respond. Their technology was so basic, radio waves and chemical rockets. This would be an easy diplomatic victory for the Empire. The meeting was set for Earth's International Space Station. The Empire had insisted on this location, thinking it would impress the humans with their advanced transport technology. They didn't know that the old-looking space station was actually a state-of-the-art military command center in disguise. Ambassador White and his team arrived in their sleek shuttle. They were met by Earth's representatives, led by Director Miller, who played his role perfectly, acting amazed at their technology while hiding his amusement at their arrogance. "Welcome to Earth's humble station," Miller said, gesturing to the seemingly primitive interior. "We're honored by your presence." The Imperial team walked through the station, making little effort to hide their looks of superiority. Ambassador White cleared his throat. "We've been watching your world for some time. Your species shows potential." "Thank you," Miller replied carefully. "We're very interested in learning about the galaxy." "Excellent." White smiled. "The Empire offers protection and guidance to developing worlds like yours. Of course, you'll need to accept Imperial oversight. Your military and space development programs will be adjusted to meet Imperial standards." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Miller's friendly expression didn't change, but his eyes grew cold. "Adjusted. For your own good, of course." White continued, missing the danger signs. "Your species is too young to handle advanced technology responsibly. The Empire will ensure you develop properly." Miller stood up slowly. The other Earth representatives did the same. "Ambassador White, let me be very clear. Earth is not interested in becoming a puppet state." White's smile vanished. "You don't understand. Imperial membership is not a request. The Empire guides all developing worlds. Compliance is mandatory." Miller walked to the station's window, looking out at Earth. "Actually, Ambassador, you're the one who doesn't understand." He turned back to face White. "We've been watching your empire for 50 years. We've studied your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. We wanted to see if peaceful cooperation was possible." White's face paled slightly. "Are you threatening the Empire?" "No," Miller replied. "I'm simply telling you that you've made a grave mistake." He nodded to his team. "This meeting is over. You have 24 hours to leave our solar system." "Or what?" White demanded. Miller smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Or nothing. Just leave. But remember this moment, Ambassador. Remember that we gave you a chance for peace." As the Imperial team left the station, White was already composing an angry report about Earth's primitives and their foolish defiance. He never noticed that the supposedly primitive space station had no radio antennas. He didn't detect the advanced sensor systems scanning his shuttle, and he certainly didn't see the massive fleet of warships hidden on the dark side of the moon, waiting for the order to reveal Earth's true power. The Empire had made its choice. Now, they would face the consequences. Deep within the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, massive doors opened in what appeared to be ordinary space rocks. Commander Wilson stood on the bridge of Earth's command center Titan, watching as thousands of warships emerged from their hiding places. "Status report," he ordered, his voice calm despite the historic moment. "All shipyards reporting ready, sir," his officer replied. "Production has been at maximum capacity for the past 3 months. The fake hulls are in place, making our ships look exactly like the primitive vessels the Empire expects to see." Wilson nodded, studying the massive display screen that showed the entire solar system. Red dots marked their hidden bases, dozens of asteroid bases, underwater facilities on Europa, and underground factories on Mars. For 50 years, humanity had prepared for this moment. "And our tracking systems?" Wilson asked. "Still working perfectly, sir. The Empire thinks their ships are invisible to our primitive technology, but we're watching every move they make. They have no idea we cracked their stealth systems years ago." In the Imperial Palace on capital world Aurea, Admiral Marcus walked quickly through the crowded halls. He carried a datapad filled with disturbing information. His own secret investigation into Earth had revealed things that filled him with dread. He burst into High Commander Reed's office without waiting for permission. "Sir, you need to see this immediately." Reed looked up, annoyed. "What is it now, Marcus?" "Industrial scans of Earth's solar system from the past decade." Marcus placed the pad on Reed's desk. "Look at the energy readings." Reed's eyes widened as he studied the data. "This can't be right. These readings suggest massive industrial activity, but our scouts report only a handful of primitive factories." "Exactly," Marcus said. "They've been hiding their true capabilities. Those primitive factories are just decoys. The real production has been happening in secret." Meanwhile, back in Earth's solar system, the massive warships were testing their disguise systems. On the outside, they looked like simple metal containers with basic rocket engines, but beneath the fake hulls lay the most advanced weapons humanity had ever created. Commander Wilson watched as his fleet practiced their formation changes. "Send the signal to all ships," he ordered. "Begin Operation Thunderstrike." Across the solar system, hidden bases activated. Ships that had been waiting for years moved into position. The massive fleet began to gather. "Sir," an officer called out. "Message from Earth Command. They've confirmed the Empire has rejected our final warning. They're still demanding our surrender and acceptance of Imperial control." Wilson smiled grimly. "As expected, they're so convinced of their superiority that they can't imagine we might be more advanced than we appear." He turned to his communications officer. "Send word to all ships. The Empire has made its choice. Execute Battle Plan Alpha." In Imperial space, Admiral Marcus was growing more desperate. His investigation had uncovered more disturbing facts. Earth's history was filled with warfare, but not the simple conflicts the Empire had assumed. Their wars had driven incredible technological advancement. Their weapons had evolved from simple tools to planet-destroying forces in just a few centuries. "They're not primitives playing at war," he told Reed. "They're warriors who've been playing at being primitive. And now," he gestured to the latest reports of Earth's fleet movements. Reed finally began to understand. "How long have they been preparing for this?" "Decades at least," Marcus replied. "Every time we watched them, they were watching us back, learning our weaknesses, testing our defenses, and now they're ready." As the sun set on capital world Aurea, Earth's fleet was already moving through space, hidden beneath their primitive disguises. The Empire had spent centuries building a civilization of peace and order, but humanity had spent those same centuries preparing for war. And now, the storm they had gathered was about to break. The Imperial Defense Station above Colony World Prime detected nothing unusual on their scanners. The night shift was quiet, routine. Lieutenant Davis of Earth's First Strike Fleet watched the station through his ship's advanced sensors, hidden behind their carefully crafted disguise. "All ships in position," his tactical officer reported quietly. "The Empire's sensors still show only empty space." Davis nodded. Earth's fleet surrounded 5 major Imperial colony worlds, completely invisible to Imperial technology. The Empire's mighty shield systems were useless against what was coming. "Send the signal," Davis ordered. "Begin the attack." Across 5 star systems, Earth's ships dropped their primitive disguises at exactly the same moment. The Imperial sensors suddenly lit up with thousands of warnings, but it was already too late. On Colony World Prime, Imperial Commander Hall stared in horror as the sky filled with ships. They weren't the crude vessels Earth was known for. These were sleek, deadly machines of war, their hulls black as space itself. "Raise shields," he shouted. "Contact the Imperial fleet." The Imperial energy shields flickered to life around key military installations. They were the pride of Imperial technology, capable of stopping any energy weapon. But Earth hadn't brought energy weapons. The first volley was pure kinetic force. Thousands of tungsten rods, accelerated to near light speed, struck the shield generators. The Empire's mighty shields flashed bright blue as they tried to stop objects that carried more energy than nuclear weapons. Then they failed. Impossible. Hall watched as his defense systems crumbled. Their technology. They can't have this level of advancement. In orbit, Davis coordinated the attack through Earth's AI battle network. Every ship moved in perfect harmony, executing maneuvers that the Empire had thought impossible for primitive humans. "Target their communication arrays," Davis ordered. "Don't let them call for help." Earth's ships fired their second wave. Special Forces teams, using stealth suits that made them almost invisible, landed on key military installations. The Empire's soldiers, used to fighting with energy weapons, found themselves facing opponents who appeared and disappeared like ghosts. On Capital World Aurea, the reports started arriving. Admiral Marcus rushed into the Imperial Command Center, where High Commander Reed was already receiving the devastating news. 5 colonies under attack, Reed said, his voice shaking. "Their ships, they're nothing like what we expected." Marcus pulled up the battle footage. "Look at their tactics. Perfect coordination. They're not just attacking targets, they're systematically dismantling our defenses. They knew exactly where to strike." In the Colony World Prime Command Center, Commander Hall made his last transmission. "They're everywhere. Our shields are useless. They're using kinetic weapons, physical projectiles. They've studied our weaknesses. They know exactly how to." The transmission cut off. Within 6 hours, all 5 colony worlds had fallen. Earth's forces had suffered minimal casualties. The Imperial defenses, built to stop energy weapons and designed to impress rather than fight, had proven useless against humanity's ancient but perfected arts of war. Davis stood on his bridge, watching as Earth's forces secured their objectives. "Send word to command. Phase 1 complete. All targets neutralized." His communications officer looked up from her station. "Sir, we're intercepting Imperial communications. They're panicking. They never expected us to be this advanced. They spent centuries perfecting their shields against energy weapons," Davis replied. "They forgot the simple truth that humanity learned long ago. Sometimes the old ways are the deadliest." As Earth's forces consolidated their gains, the Empire began to realize the true scale of their mistake. They had dismissed humanity as primitives, unworthy of respect. Now those primitives had revealed themselves as masters of warfare, using technology that the Empire had never imagined possible. And this was only the beginning. The great halls of the Imperial Palace had never seen such chaos. High Commander Reed watched as dozens of planetary governors appeared on the emergency communication screens, their faces filled with fear. 5 colonies lost in 6 hours, one governor shouted. "How is this possible?" "Their ships appeared from nowhere," another added. "Our sensors didn't detect them until it was too late." Reed raised his hand for silence. "The Imperial fleet is mobilizing. All worlds are now on highest alert. We will not allow these humans to." "Sir," an officer burst into the room. We've lost contact with 3 more colony worlds. The room erupted in panic again. Reed turned to Admiral Marcus, who stood quietly in the corner. You studied them. You warned us. What do we do now? Marcus stepped forward, addressing the frightened governors. The Empire has grown soft. We've spent centuries believing our technology made us invincible. But while we celebrated peace, humanity prepared for war. He activated the central display, showing the fallen colonies. Look at their attack pattern. They're not just destroying our forces, they're capturing our technology, our resources. Each victory makes them stronger. In the deeper regions of space, the Imperial First Fleet gathered for a counterattack. Fleet Commander West stood on his flagship's bridge, watching his ships form up. The Imperial First Fleet was the pride of the Empire. 10,000 ships with the most advanced energy weapons ever created. Status report, West demanded. All ships ready, sir. We've modified our shields based on data from the colony attacks. They should be stronger against kinetic weapons now. West nodded. Good. These humans think they can surprise us twice. They'll learn that the Empire... Multiple contacts, his sensor officer suddenly shouted. They're already here. The Imperial fleet's formation broke as Earth's ships appeared among them, somehow bypassing their detection systems completely. The humans had been waiting, invisible, watching the Imperial fleet gather. Back in the Imperial Palace, Reed received the desperate transmissions from the First Fleet. They were ready for us. Their ships, they're inside our formation. How did they get so close without? The transmission cut off. Marcus shook his head slowly. They've been studying us for years. They know all our tactics, all our capabilities. We're fighting an enemy that knows everything about us, while we know nothing about them. Sir, an aide approached Reed. The military academy reports are ready. Reed looked at the data pad and felt his heart sink. Centuries of peace had left the Empire's military weak. Their weapons were designed to look impressive rather than be effective. Their officers were trained in ceremony rather than combat. We need to change everything, Reed realized. Our training, our tactics, our weapons, none of it works against them. It's too late for that, Marcus said quietly. Look. The main display showed new data from their long-range sensors. More human fleets were emerging from hidden positions throughout Imperial space. They had been there all along, waiting for the signal to attack. How do we stop them? Reed asked, his voice barely a whisper. We can't, Marcus replied. For centuries, we thought peace meant we didn't need to prepare for war. But humanity never stopped preparing. Every peaceful gesture, every sign of primitive technology, was part of their plan. They were always ready for this moment. The Imperial Palace shook as distant explosions lit up the sky. Earth's forces were getting closer to the heart of the Empire, and nothing could stop them now. The age of Imperial peace was over. The age of human dominance had begun. Admiral Marcus stood in the Imperial archives, surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's true history. High Commander Reed watched in silence as thousands of years of human warfare played out before them. This is what we missed, Marcus said quietly. While we saw their wars as proof of primitiveness, we should have seen them as warning signs. The displays showed the evolution of human combat, from simple spears to gunpowder weapons, from tanks to nuclear weapons, from space stations to interstellar ships. Each conflict drove them to create more advanced technology. Look at this, Marcus pointed to a particular display. 200 years ago, humans nearly destroyed themselves in global wars. But instead of giving up warfare like we did, they learned from it. They kept preparing, kept advancing, but in secret. Reed watched as another display showed Earth's hidden military installations. How did we miss all of this? Because they wanted us to miss it. Marcus pulled up more data. Every primitive rocket we saw was a fake. Every simple satellite was a cover for something more advanced. They built their real technology in secret, hidden in asteroids, under oceans, beneath the surface of Mars. On another screen, Intercepted transmissions from Earth's military command played. Commander Wilson's voice filled the room. The Empire's greatest weakness is their certainty of their own superiority. They see our old chemical rockets and think we're primitive. They never ask why a species smart enough for space travel would still use such basic technology. Reed sat heavily in a nearby chair. Their whole technological development was a lie. Not a lie, Marcus corrected. A mask. Look at this. He showed records of Earth's first contact with the Empire. They knew about us long before we found them. Their primitive sensors, actually advanced enough to detect our stealth ships, their basic space stations, hidden military bases, their outdated weapons, decoys hiding their real arsenal. New alerts flashed across the screens. More Imperial worlds had fallen to Earth's advancing forces. Their ships moved with impossible precision. Their weapons struck with devastating accuracy. This is what centuries of constant military advancement look like, Marcus explained. Their ships coordinate perfectly because they've developed AI battle systems we never imagined possible. Their weapons cut through our shields because they studied our defenses for decades before attacking. Reed watched as another display showed Earth's industrial capacity. These production numbers, they're impossible. No, Marcus said. We just assumed they were impossible because we didn't want to believe a primitive species could achieve them. Their entire solar system is one massive war machine. Those asteroids we dismissed as worthless rocks. Shipyards. Those deep space missions we thought were simple exploration. Military exercises. A young officer rushed into the archive chamber. Sirs, Earth's forces have taken 3 more sectors. Our fleets, they're not even slowing them down. Marcus nodded grimly. Of course not. We train our crews for parades and ceremonies. They train for war. Real war. The kind of war we've forgotten how to fight. Reed stood up, looking at all the displays. Earth's history of conflict, their hidden technology, their careful deception, all of it leading to this moment. We thought we were civilized, and they were primitives, he said quietly. But we were the primitives, playing with weapons we didn't understand. They were the civilized ones, hiding their true power until they needed it. The archive room shook as distant explosions lit up the sky. Earth's main fleet was getting closer to capital world Aurea. Soon, the Empire would face humanity's full might. And now they finally understood the truth. They had never been the advanced civilization studying primitives. They had been the primitives, unknowingly poking at a sleeping giant. Capital world Aurea's 3 suns were rising when the sky went dark. Earth's main fleet had arrived, positioning their ships in perfect formation to block out the sunlight. It was a show of force that no one on the Imperial throne world would ever forget. High Commander Reed stood in the Imperial Palace's main hall, watching through the crystal dome, as thousands of human ships filled the sky. Each one was now showing its true form. No more primitive disguises, just pure military power. How many? He asked quietly. Admiral Marcus checked the sensors. 20,000 ships in this fleet alone. And our deep space scans show more fleets holding position at strategic points throughout Imperial space. The palace communication system activated without anyone touching it. Earth's technology had already taken control of all Imperial systems. Admiral Thompson's image appeared on every screen in the palace. This is Admiral Thompson of Earth's United Defense Fleet. His voice was calm, almost friendly. We are here to deliver our terms. Reed straightened his uniform. He might be defeated, but he would face it with dignity. I am High Commander Reed. I will hear your terms. They're simple, Thompson replied. The Empire will immediately withdraw from all frontier worlds. These worlds will form a buffer zone between Earth and Imperial space. You will share your technological database with us, though I suspect we already know most of your secrets. Finally, you will acknowledge Earth's independence and right to expand into unclaimed space. The Imperial Council members, who had gathered in the hall, burst into protests. Reed silenced them with a raised hand. And if we refuse? Thompson's expression didn't change. Look up. Everyone in the hall looked through the crystal dome. Earth's ships were moving, creating a pattern in the sky. Then, in a demonstration of precision that seemed impossible, each ship fired a single kinetic round. The projectiles passed through Orea's atmosphere in perfect formation, striking the ground in an empty desert thousands of miles from the capital. The palace sensors registered the impact. A section of desert 50 miles wide had been turned to glass. That was one round from each ship, Thompson said quietly. We have enough ammunition to do that to every city on every Imperial world. We don't want to. We're not conquerors or destroyers. We just want you to understand that your era of unquestioned dominance is over. Marcus stepped forward. You could have destroyed us at any time. Why the deception? Why pretend to be primitive? We needed to know if peaceful cooperation was possible, Thompson replied. We watched how you treated other species. We saw how you demanded submission, how you forced your idea of civilization on others. We hoped you might be different with us, that you might respect a species that seemed primitive but peaceful. Reed understood finally. The diplomatic mission. It was a test. Yes. And you failed. Thompson's voice held a note of sadness. You threatened us, tried to bully us, showed us that the Empire would never accept equals, only subjects. So now you'll destroy us? One of the council members asked. No. Thompson shook his head. Now we'll teach you something your empire has forgotten. True strength doesn't come from forcing others to submit. It comes from being powerful enough to let others remain free. Reed looked at Marcus, then back at Thompson's image. You have your agreement. The Empire accepts your terms. Good. Thompson nodded. Remember this day. Remember that humans could have destroyed your empire, but chose not to. Remember that we wanted peace, but were ready for war. And remember that if you ever threaten us again, what you saw today was just a fraction of our true power. The transmission ended. Through the crystal dome, Earth's ships began to move away, letting Orea's sun shine again. The Empire had survived, but it would never be the same. Humanity had revealed its true nature, and the galaxy would never forget.